Imagine being ripped away from your mother or father and not knowing if you're ever going to see them again. And then being placed in a detention facility with strangers. Imagine the horror and fear you will see doing that. What must that sound like?
More kids are being separated from their parents and temporarily housed in what are essentially summer camps.
President Trump is leaving the G7 early this morning after a whirlwind day of meetings with U.S. allies.
Yeah, the president stirring criticism over his comments on trade and suggesting Russia should be allowed back into the group.
Right from the start here in Quebec, the U.S. president has been odd man out. The tension palpable after Trump's threat to impose stiff new tariffs on some of America's closest allies.
European Union treats us very unfairly. Canada, very unfairly. Mexico, very unfairly.
His host, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, for one, fumed that Trump seeks to justify the new tariffs on national security grounds.
The idea that we are somehow a national security threat to the United States is quite frankly insulting and unacceptable.
We're doing this, I will say, in every instance, every country, any country that you can mention has been extremely nice, even less to the media probably, but extremely nice. They want to negotiate a deal. So, and we're open to that. We're open to that. But it's going to be very strong. We are putting on tariffs on certain industries. We can't lose our steel industry.
Trump's moves to protect American companies may be backfiring. We're already seeing the fallout of the steel tariffs recently introduced by the U.S. A nail manufacturer in Missouri has lost 50% of its business since the announcement, and it may be forced to close down entirely by Labor Day. Bigger brands are also being hurt. Harley-Davidson Motorcycles says it will shift some production and jobs from the U.S. to factories in Europe. This in response to tariffs imposed by the European Union on American imports. Tariffs on Harleys have jumped from 6 to 31%.
Well, good morning, Poppy. You know, as we're approaching the end of the term here, a lot of big cases, and right now we just got one of those much anticipated cases. This is the Masterpiece Cake Shop case, and this was the case, of course, where that baker refused to bake a custom cake for a same-sex couple, saying that it violated his freedom of religion as well as his free speech. Well, we're just getting the opinion from the court now, and it appears that the court here has upheld the baker's right to refuse to make that custom cake for that same-sex couple.
The Supreme Court has just dealt a huge blow to organized labor.
In a 5-4 decision, the court ruled government workers cannot be charged for the cost of collective bargaining if they choose not to join a union.
No hate, no fear. Refugees are welcome here.
After a year and a half of confusion, chaos at U.S. airports for those caught up in the first travel ban, repeated smackdowns in the lower courts, and revisions from the White House, the court said this latest one can stand. Supreme Court upholds Trump travel ban, President Trump tweeted. Wow.
Monumental moment for the Supreme Court. Today we learned Justice Anthony Kennedy is retiring from the court. He hand-delivered his letter to President Trump. Nominated by President Reagan and serving 30 years on the court, he was often the crucial swing vote. A conservative, but he also sided with the liberal justices at times on issues including abortion and gay rights.